Ubisoft just announced Watch Dogs Legion during their E3 2019 press conference. The game is coming out on March 6th, 2020, and I already went hands-on here at E3. In this video I will show you never seen before B-roll of the game, share my impressions, and also a lot of things that you need to know. So let's just get right into it, right? Would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support, and let's go. Before we start, I want to let you know that I'm running a giveaway during this E3 week, so you can pre-order a special edition of your favorite E3 2019 game, including Watch Dogs Legion. If you win, I'll just reach out and ask what game you would like, and then I will give you a code for that. To participate, you just want to follow the link in the pinned comment for a chance to win, and be sure you are subscribed to the channel as well before you enter. So yes, London is the setting for this next Watch Dogs game, although it's a speculative, fictional version of the city, as the devs like to call it. They looked at the current events and basically pictured a dark future for the city, where families are separated, where you can be thrown into prison if you speak up, and where a private military force has taken over major parts of the city. But also where technology and AI has been evolving rapidly, eliminating many jobs in the process. Also, everyone now has this sort of brain implant device made by Bloom, so yes, that tech company is back. And it's kind of the law right now to wear this, so that's why every character in London has it. And this is also where you come in, or actually you, because that is the thing with this game. There is no main character, there is no you. You can play anyone in the world and are basically like a ghost, taking over people by first checking their profile, so this is comparable to the other Watch Dogs games, only it's taken to the next level. Here you for example see this character Lorne Knowlton that we're hacking into, with some standard info, but also the fact that he has a 25% damage resistance against drones, so that is just one of the many perks that you can find on these NPCs. A little later on in this B-roll that is provided by Ubisoft, I sadly could not record my own gameplay, but we see the extra turret damage for example and turret health. Other examples are 10% extra melee damage or melee resistance. The melee in this game has, by the way, more depth now. You can dodge and then hit the enemies that actually have health bars too. You don't see it again in the B-roll that Ubisoft provided, but it was a thing while I was playing. You can recruit a ton of these characters and they will then be in your team, and you can switch between them at any time. And they can also be leveled up, and the enemies in the world have levels as well. Level 15 is the max, and going into a high level region will not be smart if your character is not around that level. They weren't really sure how long it was going to take to get to the max level, but it will be completely different compared to other games. Again, level 15 is not as high as 40 for example. But another thing that will play a huge role here is that there's permadeath in this game. So if your character dies, he or she will be gone for good, so you have to be really careful. There are 3 playable classes for each character, and once you recruit them you can select one of the 3 classes and then cannot switch to another class. We got the hackers that have these awesome spider drones that you can put on the ground. They can help you shoot down opponents, or you can control them as well and take out the enemies this way too. You have the enforcer class that is more about brutal combat. They can carry heavy weapons and have a combat role that you can do. I loved the infiltrator the most though, that can turn invisible, so you can easily get into restricted areas without people noticing it. And this also because of that brain implant. So how it works is that you hack that as the infiltrator, so you disappear in front of their eyes while you are clearly still there, and this is only for a short period of time. But there are way more ways to customize your operative with different perks and skills, and I will go way more in depth into that in a future video. I wrote down a lot of skills and perks that were present in the demo and want to go over them and just talk more in depth about that in the future, so keep it locked for that. And of course, most of the characters will look different when you see them on the street, but after you recruited them and when they're on your team, you can also, with a new cryptocurrency that you find in the world, buy new clothes and also new weapons that you again unlock via a 3D printer. No footage of that yet, and I could not really toy around with it, but there should be a ton of options. And we of course got these awesome masks as well that you equipped when you are doing things that you're not really supposed to. And I'm sure that you will be able to customize that as well, like every different character has already a different mask. I'm not really sure again how it works, but there were a ton of options present already. But yeah, I want to go back to the technology behind this game that again is very ambitious, because these NPCs, or should we actually call them NPCs, let's just call them characters because you can play as them of course. Anyway, they have lives too. If we go back to Lorne Norton, we see that this character is about to head to Leicester Square to enjoy a light meal. So then you should be able to follow this character and see him actually do that. It was just very interesting to walk around in this world and pick a random character that you can then control. You can't immediately control them though, you first have to make sure that they want to join DedSec. So first you want to kinda hack into their profile and see what they're up to, and then you can save the character that you like. Then there's a specific sort of contacts menu that I sadly don't have any footage of, but here you will see a special support meter, where you will know if they are against or supporters of DedSec, or kind of in between. And what you can do to make them supporters is help them with their problems, like taking out the person that is blackmailing them or erasing a file on a computer somewhere that could harm this specific person. There are first these smaller tasks that make the bar go to the right, and when they are a supporter you can talk to them, so then you will really see a conversation between your character that you of course already recruited and a new character that you want to recruit, and both characters will have voice acting, so that's very interesting. And then you take on this new mission. For example, in my instance, I had to infiltrate a highly guarded area and physically erase something, while there should be many different missions, like driving missions, you could steal every car in the game, stealth missions where you have to steal things from people, or missions where you are being hunted. There should be a ton of variety. I haven't really seen that myself, but Ubisoft assured me that that was the case. And because the NPCs are randomly generated from a database that picks their gender, posture, perks, biography, these missions are generated as well. Ubisoft calls it recasting of locations. So one person might require a certain mission based on their background, like you need to steal something from a vault for example, and then the game picks a location nearby where there is a vault and creates this mission around it. And this can really be different for everyone, so if you also have to steal something from a vault but are on the other side of London, they can do this similar mission but in a completely different location. So they're making things like this on the fly, and that sounds pretty fascinating. But what you of course get with procedurally generated things is that it might not have the same impact as a level that has been carefully built by the developers. And that's really where this game has still some convincing to do, that this kind of wears off after a moment, that you kind of understand how the system works and that it will not really surprise you anymore. Ubisoft did know though that there will be 60 plus missions in the game through 5 different storylines, so the narrative remains, but there's just no main character. You will see the character that you are playing as at the time. And they should all have slightly different animations in these cutscenes, so depending on the character you play, and also have slightly different voices that should match the characters. So that again sounds very ambitious in a game where all the characters you see in the world can be controlled, so also appear in cutscenes. On one hand, that's awesome of course, so you can kind of have an adventure with your favorite character that you recruited in the world, but this will likely also mean that we should not expect a very emotional story, or a story that will dive deep into the background of your character, because you of course can play a completely different character anytime. I did not see a lot of this sort of narrative focus yet, but it will totally be interesting to see if they can still deliver an awesome story, cutscenes and also set pieces while you are playing as a random character all the time. Overall, I think it's really awesome that they decided to go all out with this unique feature that I haven't seen in a game before. Instead of going with your regular, or you're playing this main protagonist in London and have to try to save the city, this is a completely new twist, and also on the familiar Ubisoft formula that totally seems present in this game as well. And I have to admit, I really can't wait to play this and kind of make my own army of characters and see how deep everything goes. I totally think that you will get some sort of ownership over your characters and that you will really get attached to them, although maybe the story is not really what delivers that, but kind of the things that you do with these characters, and also the customization options, like really make them feel and play the way you want. You can really think differently, like that powerful boss that you are about to kill can also be recruited instead, so you can play as that very powerful person. We can be sure of one thing: Watch Dogs Legion will be a really unique experience. If they pull it off or not right now, they seem to be on the right track and they still got some development time ahead of them. So I hope that they can pull it off, because that means that we have a pretty special game in our hands. It also has online multiplayer like the previous Watch Dogs game, 4-player co-op. They would not really talk a lot about it yet, just that you would have a shared progression. So the character you recruit and customize in your single player game can also be used in an online session. And with GTA role-playing being a pretty big thing, I think that Watch Dogs Legion can totally have an impact on this as well. Let me know what you think of the reveal of Watch Dogs Legion in the comments down below. This is just the start of my Watch Dogs Legion coverage, so totally subscribe for everything on the game. I got way more from E3 coming, like more info from my interview with the developer, my hands-on session, and also the things that will be shared online regarding Watch Dogs Legion. I will be going way more in depth on the sort of systems in this game as well in the future. This was just my broad overview and my initial thoughts, with more videos coming afterwards. So totally keep it locked to the channel. A like on this video would of course be super appreciated. Check out the giveaway for Watch Dogs Legion in the pinned comment for an E3 game of your choice actually. Maybe other Watch Dogs Legion videos are already up, then you will see them here and you can click on them so you can easily watch them. For now though, I'll speak to you next time and goodbye.